Let us begin this journey of self-discovery and empowerment, for in these principles lies the key to your freedom, your peace, and your ultimate power. Principle 1, the power of consciousness. The first and most fundamental principle we must grasp is that consciousness is the only reality. Everything you perceive, everything you experience, every circumstance in your life is but an outpicturing of your consciousness. The world you see is a mirror reflecting back to you your own mental states, your own assumptions about reality. Many of you may find this concept challenging to accept at first. You may argue, but never will I see a solid world around me. I feel it, I interact with it. Surely this is reality. To this I say, what you perceive as solid and real is nothing more than a shadow cast by the light of your consciousness. Consider for a moment your dreams. When you're in a dream, does it not feel real? Do you not interact with people, touch objects, experience emotions? Yet when you awaken, you realize it was all a creation of your mind. I tell you now, what you call your waking life is no different. It is a dream, a grand collective dream, but a dream nonetheless. Once you truly grasp this principle, once you internalize it and live from it, you will understand that nothing can affect you unless you allow it to affect your consciousness. For you are not a powerless observer of reality, but the very creator of it. This understanding is the foundation upon which all else is built. It is the bedrock of your invincibility, the source of your power. For if consciousness is the only reality, and you are the master of your consciousness, then you are the master of your reality. But how do we wield this power? How do we shape our consciousness to create the reality we desire? This leads us seamlessly into our second principle. Principle 2, the law of assumption. The law of assumption states that if you assume a state to be true and persist in that assumption, it must harden into fact. This law is the cornerstone of creation, the very mechanism by which you shape your reality. When you assume a state, you are essentially declaring to the universe, this is who I am. This is what is true for me. And the universe, being nothing more than an outpicturing of your consciousness, has no choice but to conform to your assumption. But remember, my dear friends, this law works both ways. If you persistently assume limitation, lack, or fear, these two will harden into fact. This is why so many people find themselves trapped in cycles of negativity and misfortune. They are unwittingly assuming these states into existence. The key then is to consciously choose your assumptions. Assume states of abundance, of joy, of success, of love. Persist in these assumptions, regardless of any seeming contradictions in your external reality. For remember, the external is but a shadow of your past assumptions. As you change your assumptions, the shadow must change to match the new shape of your consciousness. This principle of assumption is your shield against the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. For how can external circumstances affect you when you know that you are the very author of those circumstances? But assumption alone is not enough. To truly harness the power of this principle, we must understand the role of feeling, which brings us to our third principle. Principle 3, the importance of feeling. Now, as we delve deeper into these principles, we come to a crucial understanding. It is not enough to merely think about your desired state. You must feel it. You must embody it with every fiber of your being. Feeling is the secret, my dear listeners. It is the bridge between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind, between your current reality and your desired reality. When you can genuinely feel the reality of your desire, when you can live in the emotion of your wish fulfilled, you activate a power beyond your wildest imagination. Think for a moment of a time when you were deeply in love. Recall the feeling, the emotion of it. How did it color your world? How did it affect your perceptions, your actions, your very being? This is the power of feeling. It transforms you from the inside out. In the same way, when you can feel the reality of desire, when you can live in the emotion of your wish fulfilled, you transform your entire being. You begin to think, act, and perceive in alignment with your desired reality. And as you do so, the external world has no choice but to reflect this new state back to you. This principle of feeling is your armor against the assaults of doubt and fear. For when you are filled with the feeling of your desire fulfilled, how can doubt find a foothold? How can fear take root? They simply cannot penetrate the radiant energy of your assumed state. But how do we generate these feelings? How do we create such vivid, transformative emotions? This brings us to our fourth principle, a principle that unlocks the full creative power of your mind. Principle 4, the power of imagination. As we progress in our understanding, we come to the fourth principle, the power of imagination. My dear friends, your imagination is not some idle fantasy factory. It is the very workshop of creation. It is the place where all things, all experiences, all states of being are first conceived before they are brought forth into physical reality. Einstein once said, "Imagination is more important than knowledge." For knowledge is limited to all we now know and understand, while imagination embraces the entire world, and all there ever will be to know and understand. Your imagination is the gateway to infinite possibilities. It is the realm where you can try on new states of being, where you can explore new realities, where you can shape your world according to your deepest desires. When you imagine, you are not merely daydreaming. You are engaging in the most profound act of creation. For remember, consciousness is the only reality, and your imagination is the tool by which you shape your consciousness. Imagine yourself as the person you wish to be. See yourself living the life you desire. Feel the emotions associated with your wish fulfilled. Do this vividly, do this often, and do this with a firm conviction that what you are imagining is not some far-off possibility, but a present reality. This principle of imagination is your sword against the limitations of your current circumstances. For how can your current reality constrain you when you can, at any moment, step into a new reality in your imagination? But what of the past? What are the memories and experiences that seem to contradict our desired state? This brings us to our fifth principle, a principle that grants you power over time itself. Principle 5, the art of revision. Now we come to a principle that many find particularly powerful, the art of revision. This principle teaches us that we can go back into our past and change it. Not in a physical sense, of course, but in our consciousness, which, as we've established, is the only reality. You might ask, but Wayne, how can we change the past? Isn't it fixed to this? I say the past only exists in your memory, and memory is not fixed. It is fluid, constantly being written by your present state of consciousness. When you revise a past event, you are not denying that it happened. Rather, you are choosing to remember it differently. You are rewriting the story in a way that serves your present and future. For example, if you had an argument with a loved one, instead of replaying the argument over and over in your mind, reinforcing the negative emotions associated with it, you can revise it. Imagine the conversation going differently. See yourself and the other person coming to a loving understanding. Feel the warmth and connection between you. As you do this, you are not merely engaging in wishful thinking. You are actually reshaping your consciousness. And as your consciousness changes, your present reality must change to reflect it. This principle of revision is your time machine. It allows you to go back and plant seeds of positivity in your past, seeds that will bear fruit in your present and future. How can past events affect you when you have the power to revise them at will? But as we reshape our past and imagine our future, we must be careful not to fall into the trap of attachment. This brings us to our sixth principle, a principle that teaches us the power of letting go. Principle 6, the law of detachment. As we delve deeper into these principles, we come to one that many find challenging, the law of detachment. This law states that to manifest your desires, you must release your attachment to them. This may seem counterintuitive. You might think, but Wayne, if I want something badly, shouldn't I focus on it intensely? The answer paradoxically is no, for intense focus often comes from a place of lack, a place of not having, and remember what you assume you create. Instead, cultivate a state of detachment. This doesn't mean you don't care about your desires. Rather, it means you trust so completely in the law of assumption, in the power of your consciousness, that you can relax into the knowing that your desire is already yours. Think of it this way. When you order a meal at a restaurant, do you sit there fretting about whether it will come? Do you constantly ask the waiter where your food is? No, you relax. You engage in conversation. You enjoy the ambience. You know your meal is being prepared and will arrive at the perfect time. In the same way, once you have placed your order with the universe through your assumption and feeling, relax. Trust in the process. Know that what you have assumed must come to pass in its own perfect timing. This principle of detachment is your shield against anxiety and impatience. For how can you be anxious about the future when you know with absolute certainty that your desire is already yours? But detachment does not mean inaction. It does not mean we sit back and wait for our desires to manifest. This brings us to our seventh principle, a principle that teaches us the power of consistent action. Principle 7, the power of persistence. Now, my dear listeners, we come to a principle that is crucial for your success, the power of persistence. This principle teaches us that we must persist in our assumption, regardless of any seeming contradictions in our external reality. Remember the story of Joshua and the walls of Jericho. For 6 days, Joshua and his army marched around the city, blowing their trumpets with no visible result. But on the 7th day, when they gave a mighty shout, the walls came tumbling down. This story beautifully illustrates the principle of persistence. Joshua and his men didn't give up when they saw no immediate results. They persisted in their assumption, in their faith, until their desire manifested. In the same way, you must persist in your assumption of your desired state. Even when your sense is denied, even when the world seems to contradict it, you must hold fast to your assumption. For remember, what you see in the external world is always the result of past assumptions. It tells you where you've been, not where you're going. Persistence doesn't mean struggle or strain. It simply means a calm, unwavering faith in the reality of your assumption. It means choosing again and again to live from the state of your wish fulfilled, regardless of any seeming evidence to the contrary. This principle of persistence is your steadfast companion on the journey of manifestation. For how can temporary setbacks discourage you when you know that your persistent assumption must eventually bear fruit? But persistence must be balanced with rest. It must be coupled with a deep sense of peace and completion. This brings us to our eighth principle, a principle that teaches us the power of divine rest. Principle 8, the Sabbath. As we continue our exploration, we come to a principle that is often overlooked, but is of utmost importance, the principle of the Sabbath. In this context, the Sabbath is not a specific day of the week, but rather a state of mind, a state of rest and completion. After you have assumed your desire, after you have felt it real, after you have persisted in your assumption, there comes a point where you must rest. This rest is not an action, but rather a deep, abiding peace that comes from knowing your desire is already yours. In the biblical account of creation, God rested on the seventh day not because he was tired, but because the work was complete. In the same way, you must come to a point where you can rest in the absolute, knowing that your desire is manifested. This state of Sabbath is characterized by a profound sense of gratitude. You are grateful not for what you will receive, but for what you have already received. For in consciousness, in the only reality that truly matters, your desire is already yours. Entering this Sabbath state is crucial for manifestation. It is the final seal on your assumption, the period at the end of your adoration to the universe. It is the state from which miracles naturally flow. This principle of the Sabbath is your oasis of peace in the journey of creation. For how can you be disturbed by external circumstances when you rest in the deep knowing that all is well, all is complete? But as we rest in this state of completion, we must also understand the dynamic nature of creation. We must grasp the reciprocal relationship between our inner and outer worlds. This brings us to our ninth principle, a principle that reveals the true nature of cause and effect. Principle 9, the law of reversibility. Now, my dear friends, we come to a principle that may challenge your current understanding of cause and effect, the law of reversibility. This law states that while a physical fact can be the cause of an imagination, it is equally true that imagination can be the cause of a physical fact. In other words, while it's true that external circumstances can affect your mental state, it's equally true that your mental state can affect external circumstances. And since you have direct control over your mental state, you have indirect but very real control over your circumstances. For example, it's commonly believed that wealth brings a feeling of abundance, and this can certainly be true. But it's equally true that cultivating a feeling of abundance can bring wealth. The same is true for any state or circumstance you desire. This principle of reversibility puts the power back in your hands. Instead of waiting for circumstances to change so that you can feel better, you can feel better now, knowing that this feeling will inevitably lead to improved circumstances. Remember, the external world is but a shadow of your consciousness. Change your consciousness and the shadow must change. This is not wishful thinking or self-deception. This is working with the fundamental laws of creation. This principle of reversibility is your key to freedom from external conditions. For how can circumstances control you when you know that you can reverse the flow, creating circumstances from your chosen mental state? But to truly harness the power of all these principles, to become truly invincible to external influences, we must understand one final, all-encompassing principle. This brings us to our 10th and most profound principle, the principle that underpins all of creation, Principle 10, the I am. And now, my dear listeners, we come to the 10th and most profound principle, the I am. This principle is the foundation upon which all the others rest. It is the ultimate truth of your being. I am is the name of God, and it is your name too, for you are not separate from God, but an individualized expression of the divine. When you say I am, you are invoking the creative power of the universe. Whatever follows I am in your consciousness becomes your reality. If you say I am weak, you invoke and embody weakness. If you say I am strong, you invoke and embody strength. This is not mere positive thinking. This is aligning yourself with the creative power of the universe, understanding this principle. You realize that you are not at the mercy of external circumstances or internal states. You are the chooser of your state. At any moment, you can declare I am and follow it with whatever state you wish to embody. This principle of I am is the ultimate shield against all that would affect you, for how can anything disturb you when you know that you are one with the creative power of the universe? My dear friends, as we conclude our exploration of these 10 principles, I want you to realize the immense power that lies within you. These principles are not mere theories or philosophical concepts. They are practical tools for living, keys to unlocking the infinite potential that resides within you. When you truly grasp these principles, when you live from them consistently, you become unshakable. Nothing can affect you because you know that you are the affecting power in your world. You are not a victim of circumstances, but the creator of them. Imagine for a moment your life would be like if you fully embodied these principles. Imagine moving through your days with the unshakable, knowing that you are the master of your fate, the captain of your soul. Imagine facing challenges not with fear or anxiety, but with the calm certainty that you have the power to overcome them, to transform them, to use them for your growth and evolution. This is not a fantasy, my friends. This is your birthright. This is the truth of who you are. But remember, knowing these principles intellectually is not enough. You must apply them. You must become them. Start now. Choose a state you wish to embody. Perhaps it's confidence or abundance or love. Assume that state. Feel it. Live from it. Persist in it. Revise your path to align with it. Detach from the outcome, knowing it's already yours. Enter the Sabbath grateful completion. Understand that your assumption of this state is creating your reality and declare with all the power of your being, I am followed by your chosen state. As you do this, you will begin to see changes in your world. At first, they may be small. A shift in how people respond to you, a fortunate coincidence, an unexpected opportunity. But as you persist, as you deepen your understanding and application of these principles, the changes will become more profound. Your entire life will begin to reshape itself to match your new state of consciousness. And through it all, you will remain unaffected by the storms of life. For you will know with unshakable certainty that you are the weather maker. You are the creator of your reality. My dear friends, this is the promise of these 10 principles. This is the power that lies within you. Embrace it, live it, become it, and watch as your world transforms before your very eyes. But let us delve even deeper into the practical application of these principles, for it is in their consistent application that true mastery is achieved. Consider your daily life. From the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep, you are constantly declaring your state of being. Every thought, every emotion, every reaction is a declaration of who you are. Are you declaring states of limitation and fear or states of abundance and power? Begin to consciously choose your declarations. When you wake up in the morning, instead of immediately thinking about the challenges of the day ahead, Declare, I am blessed. I am abundant. I am powerful. Feel the truth of these statements. Let them permeate your being. As you go about your day, be vigilant of your mental states. When you encounter a challenging situation, instead of reacting with anxiety or frustration, pause. Remember, this situation is but an outpicturing of your past assumptions. Then, consciously choose a new assumption. Declare, I am capable of handling this with ease and grace. Practice the art of revision throughout your day. If you have an unpleasant interaction with someone, don't let it linger in your consciousness. As soon as possible, close your eyes and revise the scene. See it playing out harmoniously. Feel the emotions of a pleasant, fulfilling interaction. This is not denial, this is conscious creation. Use your imagination constantly. Before important events or meetings, take a few moments to imagine them unfolding perfectly. See yourself speaking with confidence, being received warmly, achieving your desired outcomes. Feel the satisfaction and joy of these successful scenarios. Cultivate the state of the Sabbath. At the end of each day, before you sleep, enter a state of deep gratitude and completion, regardless of what transpired during the day. Choose to rest in the knowing that all is well. All is unfolding perfectly for your highest good. Practice detachment by focusing on the joy of the journey, rather than attainment of specific outcomes. Find pleasure in the process of growth and transformation. Trust that as you align yourself with these principles, your external reality must conform to your new state of consciousness. Remember the law of reversibility. If you find yourself in undesirable circumstances, instead of waiting for them to change so you can feel better, choose to feel better now. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, knowing that this feeling will inevitably bring about the circumstances you desire. And above all, be constant in your awareness of the I am. Let every thought, every word, every action be a conscious expression of your divine nature. For in this constant awareness lies true invincibility. My dear friends, as you integrate these principles into your daily life, you will find yourself becoming more and more impervious to external influences. You will no longer be swayed by the opinions of others, by temporary setbacks, or by apparent obstacles. For you will know with every fiber of your being that you are the creator of your reality. But this journey of mastery is not just for your own benefit. As you embody these principles, as you live from this elevated state of consciousness, you become a beacon of light in the world. You inspire others by your example. You show them what is possible when we fully embrace our divine nature. For remember, the world is yourself pushed out. As you transform your own consciousness, you contribute to the transformation of the entire world. Every assumption of a higher state, every act of revision, every moment of Sabbath rest ripples out into the collective consciousness, elevating all of humanity. This is the true power of these principles. They not only free you from the influence of external circumstances, but they also empower you to become a force for positive change in the world. Imagine a world where more and more people understand and apply these principles. Imagine a collective consciousness rooted in abundance, love, and endless possibility. This is the world you are helping to create as you master these principles in your own life. So I urge you, my dear friends, to take these principles to heart. Study them. Apply them. Or in doing so, you not only transform your own life, but contribute to the transformation of the entire world. Go forth now armed with this knowledge, empowered by this understanding. Be the conscious creator you were born to be. For in doing so, you not only transform your own life, but you contribute to the transformation of the entire world. Remember, the world is yourself pushed out. As you embody these principles, as you live from this elevated state of consciousness, you uplift all of humanity. You become a beacon of light showing others what is possible when we fully embrace our divine nature. In closing, I want to remind you of a profound truth. You are not merely a human being having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. And armed with these 10 principles, you can make that human experience as glorious, as joyful, as abundant as you choose. Be bold in your assumptions. Be daring in your imagination. Be unwavering in your persistence. For you are the operant power in your world. You are the author of your life story. Nothing can affect you unless you allow it to affect your consciousness. Go now and create the life you've always dreamed of. For you are the architects of your own destiny, the creators of your own reality. Nothing can affect you when you live from these principles, for you are one with the creative power of the universe. And as you go forth, remember that this journey of mastery is ongoing. Each day presents new opportunities to deepen your understanding, to refine your application of these principles. Embrace these opportunities. Welcome the challenges that arise, for they are but invitations to prove the power of your consciousness. Let every experience, whether perceived as positive or negative, be a testament to your creative power. For in truth, there are no positive or negative experiences. There are only opportunities for growth, for deepening your understanding, for strengthening your faith in the power of your consciousness. As you continue on this path, you will find that your life becomes a living demonstration of these principles. You will become living proof of the transformative power of consciousness. And in doing so, you will inspire countless others to embark on their own journey of self-discovery and empowerment. My dear friends, the power to create the life you desire, the power to remain unaffected by external circumstances, lies within you. It always has, and it always will. These 10 principles are simply keys to unlocking that power, to bringing it into your conscious awareness so that you may wield it deliberately and effectively. So go forth with confidence, with joy, with the unshakable knowing that you are the master of your faith, the captain of your soul. Let nothing disturb your peace. Let nothing shake your faith. For you are one with the creative power of the universe, and in that oneness lies your invincibility. Thank you. And may your imagination be filled with wonders beyond measure. May your consciousness expand to embrace the infinite possibilities that lie before you. And may you always remember the truth of who you are, the operant power, the divine creator of the I Am. I want you to understand that these habits we'll discuss are not external forces imposed upon you. They are patterns of thought and behavior that you have accepted, perhaps unknowingly, as part of your reality. But just as you have accepted them, you have the power to release them and step into your true, limitless nature. Let us begin with the first habit, living in the past. My dear friends, how often do you find yourselves dwelling on past events, reliving old hurts, or longing for times gone by? This habit of living in the past is perhaps the most insidious of all, for it robs you of your true creative power, the power of now. You see, the past, as you perceive it, is nothing more than a shadow, a memory traced in the halls of your mind. It has no substance, no reality, except that which you give it through your attention. When you dwell in the past, you are quite literally creating it anew in your present experience. Imagine, if you will, a projector in a cinema. The images on the screen seem real, don't they? They evoke emotions, trigger responses. But are they truly real? No, they are mere projections, illusions of light and shadow. Your memories, your past are much the same. They are projections of your consciousness given light by your attention. But here's the liberating truth. You are not the projectionist bound to play the same reel over and over. You are the projector itself, the source of all images. You have the power to change the reel, to project new images, to create a new reality. How do you do this? By fully embracing the power of the present moment, by recognizing that now is the only point of power. It is in this moment, right here, right now, that you have the ability to choose, to create, to manifest. When you catch yourself dwelling on the past, gently but firmly bring your attention back to the present. Feel the aliveness of this moment. Recognize that in this now you are free, you are powerful, you are divine. The past has no power over you unless you give it power. This leads us seamlessly to our second habit, worrying about the future. Just as living in the past robs you of your power, so too does anxiety about the future. How many of you lie awake at night mind racing with what-ifs and worst-case scenarios? This habit of projecting fear into the future is a misuse of your divine created power. You see, my dear friends, the future does not exist except as a concept in your mind. It is a blank canvas waiting for the strokes of your imagination. When you worry about the future, you are using your God-given power of creation to manifest the very things you fear. Remember, your imagination is not just idle fantasy. It is the very workshop in which your reality is forged. What you imagine with feeling, with conviction, becomes the blueprint for your experience. When you worry, you are imagining negative outcomes and imbuing them with the power of your emotion. You are, in essence, praying for what you do not want. Instead of worrying about the future, I urge you to use your imagination constructively. See the future you desire. Feel it, live it in your mind as if it were already a reality. For in truth it is in the realm of infinite possibility, which is your true home. All possibilities already exist. Your job is not to make things happen, but to align yourself with the reality you prefer. When you find yourself worrying about the future, pause. Take a deep breath. Remind yourself that the future is not set in stone, but is clay in your hands. Then consciously choose to imagine the outcome you desire. Feel the relief, the joy, the satisfaction of that perfect future. Let those feelings fill your being. This is not mere positive thinking, my friends. This is the active use of your divine creative power. Now let us move on to the third habit, comparing yourself to others. This habit, my dear friends, is a particularly pernicious one, for it denies the unique divine spark that resides within each of you. When you compare yourself to others, you are looking outside of yourself for validation, for a measure of your worth. But I tell you, there is no standard external to you by which you can be measured. You are a unique expression of the divine. There has never been, nor will there ever be, another being exactly like you. Your journey, your experiences, your perspective are yours alone. To compare yourself to another is like comparing an oak tree to a rose bush. Both are perfect expressions of life, yet wholly unique in their manifestation. When you fall into the habit of comparison, you are denying your own divinity. You are saying to the universe, I am not enough as I am. But I assure you, you are more than enough. You are, in fact, all that is. For in your true nature, you are one with the divine, one with all of creation. Instead of comparing yourself to others, I urge you to turn your gaze inward. Recognize the divine spark within you. Celebrate your unique gifts, your particular way of expressing the infinite. For it is in embracing your true self, your divine nature, that you find true fulfillment and peace. When you catch yourself making comparisons, pause. Take a deep breath. Remind yourself of this truth. I am a perfect expression of the divine, all incomplete as I am. Feel the truth of these words resonating in every cell of your being. For as you acknowledge your own divinity, you automatically release the need for external validation. This understanding leads us naturally to our fourth habit, seeking approval from others. My dear friends, how much of your life is spent seeking the approval of others? How often do you shape your actions, your words, even your thoughts, based on what you believe others want or expect from you? This habit of seeking external approval is a denial of your own inner guidance, your own divine wisdom. You see, within each of you is a direct line to the infinite intelligence of the universe. This inner knowing, this divine guidance, is always available to you. It speaks to you in the language of intuition, of feeling, of inner knowing. But when you habitually seek approval from others, you drown out this inner voice. You will replace divine wisdom with human opinion. Remember, no one else can know what is right for you. No one else walks in your shoes, sees through eyes, or knows the stirrings of your heart. The approval you seek outside yourself can only ever be a pale reflection of the divine approval that already resides within you. Instead of seeking approval from others, I urge you to cultivate a deep trust in your own inner guidance. Listen to the still, small voice within. Feel for the path that resonates with your deepest truth. For it is in aligning with this inner knowing that you step into your true power, your divine nature. When you find yourself seeking approval, pause, take a deep breath. Turn your attention inward and ask yourself, what do I know to be true? What feels right to me? Trust the answer that arises. It may come as a thought, a feeling, or simply a sense of knowing. This is your divine self guiding you towards your highest good. Now, let us explore the fifth habit, negative self-talk. My dear friends, the words you speak to yourself are perhaps the most powerful in all of creation. For these words, these thoughts are the very instructions you give to the infinites to create your reality. When you engage in negative self-talk, you are quite literally programming yourself for limitation and failure. You see, the subconscious mind does not differentiate between what is real and what is imagined. It accepts as truth whatever you tell it repeatedly. When you habitually engage in negative self-talk, saying things like, "I'm not good enough," or "I always fail," you are instructing your subconscious to make these statements reality. Here's the liberating truth. Just as you have the power to program limitation, you have the power to program success, abundance, and joy. Your words, your thoughts are the tools with which you sculpt your reality. Instead of negative self-talk, I urge you to consciously cultivate positive, empowering inner dialogue. Speak to yourself as you would to someone you deeply love and respect. Affirm your divine nature, your inherent worthiness, your unlimited potential. When you catch yourself in negative self-talk, pause. Take a deep breath. Then consciously choose to rephrase your thoughts in a positive, empowering way. Instead of "I'm not good enough," say "I am constantly growing and improving." Instead of "I always fail," say "Every experience brings me closer to success." Remember, my dear friends, you are not your thoughts. You are the thinker of your thoughts. You have the power to choose which thoughts you will entertain, which seeds you will water in the garden of your mind. This understanding brings us to our sixth habit, perfectionism, our perfectionism. It masquerades as a virtue, doesn't it? The relentless pursuit of excellence, the refusal to settle for anything less than the best. But I tell you, my dear friends, perfectionism is a trap. It is a denial of your divine nature, which is already perfect, old, and complete. You see, the pursuit of perfection implies that you are somehow flawed, incomplete, in need of improvement. But this is a fundamental misunderstanding of your true nature. You are not a human being striving for perfection. You are a perfect divine being having a human experience. The habit of perfectionism keeps you in a constant state of striving, of reaching for a future state of better. But in doing so, it robs you of the joy and power of the present moment. It keeps you focused on what's wrong rather than celebrating what's right. Instead of perfectionism, I urge you to embrace the concept of excellence. Excellence acknowledges your current perfection while allowing for growth and expansion. It celebrates your efforts and achievements rather than constantly finding them lacking. When you find yourself caught in the grip of perfectionism, pause. Take a deep breath. Remind yourself of this truth. I am already perfect, whole, and complete. My experiences are opportunities for joyful expression, not tests to be passed. This shift in perspective allows you to approach your endeavors with joy and enthusiasm rather than anxiety and self-criticism. It allows you to fully express your divine nature in each moment rather than postponing your joy to some future state of perfection. Now, let us explore the seventh habit, avoiding responsibility. My dear friends, the avoidance of responsibility is perhaps one of the most limiting habits you can cultivate. For in avoiding responsibility, you are denying your own power as a creator. You are saying to the universe, "I am not the author of my life, but a victim of circumstance." But I tell you, there are no victims in this universe, only creators who have forgotten their power. Every circumstance in your life, every experience you have is a creation of your consciousness. This may seem a heavy burden to bear, but it is in fact the key to your liberation. You see, when you avoid responsibility, you place the power to change your life outside of yourself. You wait for circumstances to change, for others to behave differently, for luck to smile upon you. But in doing so, you give away your God-given power to get in. Instead of avoiding responsibility, I urge you to embrace it fully. Recognize that you are the author of your life story. Every thought, every word, every action is a brushstroke on the canvas of your existence. When you embrace this responsibility, you step into your power as a divine creator. When you find yourself avoiding responsibility, pause, take a deep breath. Then ask yourself, how have I created this situation? What can I learn from it? How can I use this as an opportunity for growth and transformation? These questions shift you from a victim mentality to a creator mentality. Remember, taking responsibility doesn't mean blaming yourself. It means acknowledging your power to create change. It means recognizing that regardless of what has happened in the past, you have the power to choose your response in this moment, and in doing so, to shape your future. This understanding leads us seamlessly to our eighth habit, fear of fear. The fear of failure. How many dreams has it strangled in their cradle? How many divine expressions has it silenced? This habit, my dear friends, is perhaps the most limiting of all, for it keeps you small, keeps you safe, keeps you from expressing the fullness of your divine nature. But what is failure, really? Is it not merely a judgment, a label we attach to certain outcomes? And who is the judge? Only you. You see, in the infinite realm of possibility, there is no failure. There are only experiences, each one an opportunity for growth, for learning, for expanding your consciousness. When you fear failure, you are saying to the universe, I do not trust in my divine nature. I do not believe in my ability to grow and adapt. But I tell you, there is nothing to fear, for you are an eternal being, a spark of the divine. No experience can diminish you. No outcome can lessen your inherent worth. Instead of fearing failure, I urge you to embrace it as a teacher. See every failure as feedback, as valuable information guiding you toward your highest expression. For it is often in our greatest challenges that we discover our greatest strengths. When you find yourself gripped by the fear of failure, pause. Take a deep breath. Remind yourself of this truth. I am an eternal being, all incomplete. Every experience enriches me. Every challenge strengthens me. I cannot fail, for I am always growing. This shift in perspective allows you to approach life with courage and enthusiasm. It frees you to take risks, to try new things, to fully express your divine nature without the paralyzing fear of what if. Now let us explore the ninth habit, lack of self-discipline. My dear friends, self-discipline is often misunderstood. Many see it as a form of self-denial or forcing oneself on unpleasant tasks. But true self-discipline is something far more powerful and liberating. It is the ability to align your actions with your highest intentions, to bring your outer world into harmony with your inner vision. You see, each of you has within you a vision of your highest self, your most divine expression. This vision is not something imposed from outside, but a knowing that comes from your deepest essence. Self-discipline is the bridge that allows you to bring this vision into reality. When you lack self-discipline, you are at the mercy of your fleeting moods, your temporary discomforts, your habitual patterns. You allow the small everyday self to override the wisdom of your higher self. In doing so, you deny your own divinity, your own power to shape your reality. Instead of viewing self-discipline as a burden, I urge you to see it as a form of self-love. It is the highest respect you can show to your divine nature. When you exercise self-discipline, you are saying to the universe, I honor my highest vision. I commit to my own growth and expansion. When you find yourself struggling with self-discipline, pause. Take a deep breath. Connect with your vision of your highest self. Feel the power and aliveness of that vision. Then ask yourself, action would my highest self take in this moment? Trust the answer that arises and act on it. Remember, self-discipline is not about perfection. It's about consistent effort, about choosing again and again to align with your highest intentions. Each time you make this choice, you strengthen your connection to your divine nature. You expand your capacity to create your desired reality. And finally, we come to our 10th habit, neglecting self-care. My dear friends, your physical body is the temple of your divine spirit. It is the vehicle through which you experience this earthly realm, the instrument through which you express your divine nature. When you neglect self-care, you are not honoring this sacred vessel, but self-care goes beyond mere physical maintenance. True self-care nourishes your mind, your emotions, your spirit. It is about creating space in your life for joy, for rest, for reflection. It is about honoring your needs, respecting your boundaries, and nurturing your deepest self. When you neglect self-care, you are saying to the universe, I am not worthy of care and attention. But I tell you, you are worthy of all the care, all the love, all the attention you can give yourself. For in caring for yourself, you are caring for a unique expression of the divine. Instead of viewing self-care as selfish or indulgent, I urge you to see it as a sacred duty. Just as you would tend to a precious garden, tend to yourself with love, with attention, with devotion. For as you nurture yourself, you increase your capacity to express your divine nature, to bring more light into the world. When you find yourself neglecting self-care, pause. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, what does my deepest self need in this moment? It might be rest, nourishment, movement, connection, or quiet reflection. Trust the answer that I resist and honor it. Remember, self-care is not about pampering yourself occasionally. It's about consistently honoring your needs, respecting your boundaries, and nurturing your whole being. It's about creating a life that supports your highest expression. Now, my dear friends, as we come to the close of our exploration of these 10 habits, I want you to understand something crucial. These habits, these patterns of thought and behavior are not your true nature. They are simply habits, learned responses that you have adopted over time. And just as you have learned them, you can unlearn them. You see, you are not these habits. You are not your thoughts, your emotions, your past experiences. You are the awareness that observes all these things. You are the divine consciousness that animates your being. This awareness, this consciousness untouched by any habit, any pattern, any experience. When you recognize this truth, when you identify with your true nature rather than with these temporary habits, you reclaim your power. You step into your divine inheritance as a creator, as a shaper of reality. So I urge you, my dear friends, to be vigilant. Watch your thoughts, your words, your actions. When you catch yourself falling into these habits of mental weakness, pause. Take a deep breath. Remind yourself of your true nature. Choose again, this time from a place of power and divine knowing. Remember, every moment is a new beginning. Every breath is an opportunity to re-island with your highest self. You are not bound by your past, by your habits, by your perceived limitations. You are free here and now to choose again. As you go forth from this place, carry with you this knowing. You are a divine being, perfect, whole, and complete. These habits we've discussed are not forced to be corrected, but opportunities for growth, for expansion, for more fully expressing your true nature. Embrace these opportunities. Use them as stepping stones on your journey of self-realization. For as you release these habits of mental weakness, you make space for your true strength to emerge. You allow your divine light to shine more brightly in the world. And know this as you do this work, as you consciously choose to align with your highest self. You are not just transforming your own life. You are contributing to the transformation of the entire world. For we are all one, all expressions of the same divine consciousness. Your growth, your expansion, your light touches us all. So go forth, my dear friends, with courage and conviction. Recognize these habits when they arise, but do not judge them. Simply choose again. Choose to align with your highest self, your divine nature. For in doing so, you are fulfilling your sacred purpose. You are becoming who you truly are. Remember always, you are powerful beyond measure, loved beyond imagination, and capable of more than you could ever dream. Now go and let your divine light shine.